Ladies and gentlemen, intro in Cahn's tone, prophetic, almost whispering truth into the spirit. There are moments in time, my friend, where the heart speaks what the lips dare not say. In the realm of the unspoken, there lies a truth deeper than denial. She can't admit it, but she wants you back, yes. She who once stood beside you in sunlight now hides in shadows. But understand this, the absence of words is not the absence of love. It is the echo of Eden. When Adam hid and God still called out, "Where are you?" The veil of pride she walks with confidence, but her pride is a veil, not of strength, but of armor. Her pride doesn't protect her from you, it protects her from herself. She tells the world she's fine, that she's free, that the past is ashes. But if ashes are all that remain, why does she still visit the ruins? Because the heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. The silent cry in the night, when the masks fall and the world sleeps, there's a silent cry. You holy to be uttered in public, the tears you don't see are the ones that carry your name. Her silence is her cry. Her distance is her ache, her coldness a disguise, so you don't see the fire still burning within. She buried her love like Moses in the wilderness, but even buried things can resurrect. Divine echoes love, when true, doesn't die, it becomes eternal. Heaven echoes it back, and though she denies it with her lips, her soul prophesies a different song. Her actions betray her words, her memories betray her denial. She may block your name, but she checks your shadow. She may walk away, but her footsteps hesitate, because the spirit knows what the flesh refuses to confess. The altar of return, and I declare to you, there is an altar in her heart. It's hidden, yes, covered with dust, but still sacred. If you approach with truth, with humility, not as the man you were, but as the man you are becoming, the altar will answer. Don't demand, don't force, but offer, like the priest with incense. Let your repentance rise like a sweet aroma, because love never dies. It only sleeps until awakened. Prophetic reconciliation, there is a time for everything under heaven, a time to lose and a time to find, a time to break and a time to restore. You were broken, but brokenness is the womb of rebirth. You were cast out, but even exiles are called home. So hear me, she can't admit it, but she wants you back. Not the old you, not the wounded boy, but the man who dares to love like Christ. Sacrificially, boldly, tenderly, she's waiting, not at the door of pride, but in the silence of the soul. Go there. Speak not to her mind, but to her spirit, and you might find what was lost was never truly gone. She wears pride not as a crown of glory, but as a veil of protection. It is not the pride of arrogance or the pride that boasts in conquest. It is a subtler pride, a defensive pride, born not of power, but of pain. When a woman loves deeply and loses, she must choose, collapse under the weight of the ache or rise, mask the sorrow, and convince herself and the world that she no longer feels. She chose to rise, but the rise was not healing, it was survival. The veil she wears is woven of wounds, threaded with memories, stitched with silence. It is not because she does not feel. It is because she feels too much to understand her now. You must remember her then. Remember the softness in her voice when she believed in you. Remember the way her eyes looked at you, not just with love, but with belief, as if you were more than a man, as if you were her home. That woman is still there, somewhere beneath the layers of time, beneath the disappointments, the arguments, the misunderstandings. She buried that version of herself to protect what was left, and the veil, that veil of pride, is what guards the grave. She tells the world she's fine. She posts pictures with friends, she smiles in the sunlight, she walks like she's moved on. But what the world sees is the stage. What it doesn't see is the rehearsal behind the curtain, where her hands tremble slightly when she scrolls past your name. She pretends your absence is peace, but inside there's a war, and every victory over the urge to call you is a loss to her soul. Her pride tells her to be silent. Her pride tells her to forget. Her pride tells her that reaching out would be weakness, that admitting she misses you would be surrender. So she builds a wall, But not to keep you out entirely. No, it's more cunning than that. The wall is built to make you wonder, to make you ask, to make you chase, because part of her still wants to be pursued. Not out of ego, but out of hope. She wants to believe that you can see through her disguise, that somehow, somewhere, you still understand her, without her having to explain. This is not a woman who lacks emotion. This is a woman who has mastered the art of hiding it, not because she's cold, but because she once burned too brightly and was left with ashes. The veil she wears is both her armor and her prison. It protects her from exposure, but it also locks her in. She's trapped in her own strength, unable to reach out because the pride she's chosen has become a fortress. But even fortresses have cracks. There are moments when her pride falters, brief, flickering seconds when her hand hovers over your contact, when your name stirs something too deep for words. Those moments are sacred. They are the truth beneath the performance. They are the windows into the heart that still remembers, still longs, still wonders. What if, you see, she can't admit it? Not because she doesn't feel it, but because to admit it would be to expose the very wound she's tried so long to heal. She can't admit it because love, once wounded, fears being wounded again. She can't admit it because she's trying to convince herself that she doesn't need you. But if that were true, she wouldn't think of you when no one's watching. She wouldn't flinch when she hears your name. She wouldn't carry your memory in the quiet places of her soul. She wears pride not because she's proud, but because she was broken. And sometimes brokenness wears pride like a shield. But shields don't erase longing, and veils don't silence truth. She may never say it out loud, but deep within her there's a voice too ancient to lie, too holy to be silenced, and that voice is whispering what her pride won't. She still wants you, but she just can't admit it. Her silence is not a void, it is not empty, it is not the absence of care. Her silence is sacred. It is a language all its own. It is the cry without sound, the storm without thunder, the ache that dares not speak, because if it did, the dam would break and the flood would come. When she stopped calling, when she stopped reaching out, when the messages ceased and the updates vanished, you may have thought she moved on. But silence is not always escape. Sometimes silence is mourning. You see, love, when lost, doesn't always scream as it dies. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it fades into a hush too deep for human ears, but loud in the chambers of the soul. She loved you once, not casually, not conveniently, but deeply. That kind of love does not disappear with time. It lingers, it stains, and when it breaks, it doesn't explode. It collapses inward, like a star into a black hole. And in that collapse, she said nothing. Not because she had nothing to say, but because words would betray her. Words would expose the trembling. Words would unravel the walls she had carefully rebuilt. So she chose the silence, the heavy, haunting silence, the silence that makes you question, the silence that makes you doubt your own memory. But make no mistake, silence is not indifference. It is intensity held hostage. In the quiet, she is not forgetting, she is remembering. Sometimes against her will, the songs still echo. The scent of you in a room she never revisits still finds its way into her breath. The memories, raw and real, sit in the corners of her mind like ghosts that won't leave. She tries to drown them in noise, in company, in motion. But when the world slows down and the distractions fade, the silence returns, and with it the truth. She can't bring herself to reach out, because silence has become her shield. Breaking it would mean reopening the wound. Reopening the wound would mean facing the full weight of what was lost, and perhaps most terrifying of all, what could have been, because love never dies cleanly. It dies with echoes. It dies with unfinished sentences, with almosts, with what-ifs, and she carries all of those in her quiet. She may look composed, she may even laugh, but the silence is there, beneath it all. And it is loud in its own way. Every time she sees something that reminds her of you, and chooses not to react, her silence is speaking. Every time she thinks of a message she wants to send, but locks her phone instead, her silence is screaming. Every time someone asks her about you and she pretends not to care, her silence weeps. This is a woman who is mourning, not only what she lost, but what she hoped for. Because love, once real, comes with a vision, a future imagined, a life constructed in the secret places of the heart. When that vision dies, there is grief, and grief doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like nothing, like stillness, like the quiet hum of breath in a room where something is missing. Her silence is not rejection. It is reverence. It is her way of preserving the sacredness of what once was. She does not speak your name, not because it means nothing, but because it still means too much, and speaking it aloud would make the absence more unbearable. So if you're wondering what she's thinking, if she remembers, if she cares, know this: the silence is your answer, but you must listen with your spirit, not your ears. You must understand that some of the deepest cries cannot be heard with sound. They must be felt. She can't say it, she won't show it, but if you've ever loved her, you already know. You can feel it in the spaces between the noise, in the hesitation when her eyes almost meet yours. In the tension when your name is mentioned in a room she occupies. Her silence is not goodbye, it is not indifference, it is grief dressed in restraint, a love too alive to die and too wounded to speak. And somewhere in that silence, if you're still enough, if you listen long enough, you'll hear what she cannot say. She misses you. Love, when true, does not vanish like smoke in the wind. It does not dissolve simply because two people part ways or because words were said that should not have been said. True love echoes. It lingers in the soul, in the bones, in the unseen places where time has no dominion. And even when denied by lips, when pride, fear, or pain forces her to say, "I'm over it," "I don't care," or "I've moved on," the soul speaks otherwise, because the soul has no interest in saving face. It cannot lie, and in her soul the truth is still alive. She loved you, and that love has not fully died. Even now, though she walks away with steady steps, though her voice may sound firm and final, there's a tremor underneath it, an echo, and that echo calls out in ways that defy language. It shows up in small, almost invisible ways, in the way she pauses before deleting an old picture, in the way she still notices when you walk into a room, in the way her laughter dies just a bit too quickly when someone mentions your name. These are not random moments, these are echoes, divine reverberations of something that was real, something that marked her. When something eternal touches something fragile, it leaves an imprint. True love, the kind that touches the spirit, does not get erased by time or distance. It becomes a song that keeps playing, even if she tries to cover her ears. You see, she may say it's over. She may even believe it some days, but love has its own memory, and memory is not subject to denial. Love, when real, is not easily silenced. There is a sacred whisper that trails behind every genuine connection. It is heaven's way of reminding us that some people were not accidents. Some meetings were not coincidences. Some bonds were stitched together by a hand larger than ours, and no matter how hard she tries to suppress it, she hears it in the quiet, in the empty spaces between distractions, in the stillness of the night when the facade falls and the truth breathes freely. She may have locked the door, but part of her still waits behind it. She may have turned off the light, but she didn't throw away the key, and that right there is the echo of love, not in the words spoken, but in the ones she can't bring herself to say. Not in the actions visible to the world, but in the ones she fights against in private, the moments when she wonders where you are, when she replays a conversation from months ago, when she sees a stranger who walks like you and feels something twist inside her. The soul is stubborn. It doesn't obey timelines. It doesn't follow logic. It remembers what mattered. It holds on to what was sacred. So even if she's silent, even if she's distant, even if she's cold, there is still a part of her spirit that remembers. That ache you feel, she feels it too. That tug in your chest when something reminds you of her. That's not just nostalgia. That's the echo, And here's the mystery. Sometimes love denied is louder than love confessed. Because a confession ends the mystery, but a denial leaves the story open. The tension remains, the energy lingers. She may deny it with her lips, but that's not the testimony that matters most. The soul is testifying something different. And if you look close enough, feel deep enough, and listen quietly enough, you'll hear it. Not in what she says, but in what she can't say. She may not admit it. She may never tell you to your face, but her soul has already spoken. In dreams, in memories, in the way she still flinches when someone brings up your name. You cannot fake that. You cannot control that. That is the divine echo. So don't be fooled by the surface. Don't believe the silence is emptiness. Love, when true, becomes eternal, and eternity has a voice of its own. She may try to mute it, drown it out, or bury it beneath pride and independence. But echoes don't die. They return again and again until the soul surrenders and truth is spoken. And the truth is this, though she may never say it out loud, somewhere deep inside, she still hopes. You'll hear the echo. There is an altar inside every human heart, a sacred space not made of stone or gold, but of memory, emotion, and spirit. It is where we place the things that mattered most, where we grieve what was lost, and where, sometimes, we hope for what could still return. She has such an altar within her. You may not see it. She may never speak of it. But it is there, hidden beneath her silence and her strength, buried beneath everything she tells the world and tells herself. And on that altar, even now, the memory of you still lingers. Love does not simply disappear when a relationship ends. It may change its form, it may grow quiet, but it remains. And if the love was real, if it touched her soul, if it grew roots in her spirit, then a part of it still lives. It becomes something sacred, something she guards. Not because she's holding on to the past blindly, but because that love once carried truth. It once gave her life, and part of her still honors it. She has moved forward, yes. She has learned to walk without you, to speak without your voice beside her. But moving forward does not mean the altar has been dismantled. It only means she has learned how to live with its presence in the background. It means she passes by it quietly, reverently, from time to time, sometimes with sorrow, sometimes with wonder, and sometimes with hope. The heart's altar is not built for everyone. It is only built for the few who marked us deeply, the ones who shaped us, the ones whose absence we feel like an ache beneath the skin. If you are at her altar, it is not because of pity, nor because of habit. It is because she loved you in a way that changed her, and love that transforms cannot be easily erased. It becomes holy. But here is the truth many do not understand. The altar is not just a place of memory. It is a place of potential. It is not merely for mourning. It is also for revival. When something sacred is placed on an altar, it is not abandoned, it is offered, and offerings can rise, they can return. They can be rekindled if the fire is true and the heart is willing. You cannot storm this altar. You cannot demand your place upon it again with force or pride. It is a holy place, and it requires reverence. If you come to it, you must come changed, not with arrogance, not with excuses, but with humility and truth. If you carry bitterness or entitlement, you will defile the sacred ground. But if you carry reflection, if you come with the fire of genuine transformation, then something in her spirit will recognize it, because deep down she has not sealed the altar. She has not burned it to ashes. She has simply let it rest, and if the offering returns, not as a ghost of the past, but as a man renewed, a man who understands the cost, a man who is willing to rebuild not with passion alone, but with patience and purpose, then her heart may open again, not all at once, not in a flood, but in slow, trembling steps towards something restored. She doesn't need grand gestures. She doesn't need promises wrapped in poetry. What she needs, if she is ever to open the altar again, is truth. Quiet, steady truth, a presence that proves itself over time, a voice that no longer blames but owns, a hand that no longer grasps but offers, because for her, love is no longer a fantasy. It is something deeper now, something tested, and if she sees that in you, if her spirit discerns that what you bring is real, then she will know, she will feel it, the way a candle recognizes the return of fire, and what was quiet, what was dormant, what was only memory, can rise again. So do not assume that because she hasn't spoken, she has forgotten. Do not believe that because she hasn't called, the altar is empty. It may be covered in dust, but it is not abandoned. It may be quiet, but it is still sacred, and if you bring truth as your offering, if your love is clothed in humility, then the altar will answer, and she, though she won't say it aloud, may already be waiting for that moment. There are things she will never say out loud, not because they aren't true, but because they feel too vulnerable, too exposed. Her heart has become a house with locked doors and shuttered windows, not out of spite, but self-preservation. After the hurt, after the disappointment, after feeling like she gave too much and received too little, she decided that silence was safer than sincerity. But even behind those locked doors, something stirs. Even in the most guarded heart, the longing never fully dies. She has learned to speak a different language now, a silent one. It's in the way she glances when she thinks no one sees, in the way she stiffens when your name is mentioned, in the almost imperceptible shift in her tone when a memory of you brushes across her mind. She will not say she misses you. She will not tell you she still dreams about what could have been, but it's there, in the tension, in the stillness. Her unspoken truth is a flame she guards with her life, because saying it out loud would mean admitting she still cares, and that terrifies her. To admit she wants you back would be to risk everything. It would mean laying down the armor, breaking the silence, and facing the unknown. She doesn't know if you'd understand. She doesn't know if you've changed. She doesn't know if it's even possible to rebuild what was broken. And more than anything, she doesn't know if you still want her the way she wants you. That uncertainty is a canyon too wide to cross without cost. So she remains quiet, not because she's over you, but because she's afraid, afraid of being vulnerable again, afraid of being disappointed again, afraid of reaching out only to find that the door is no longer open. So instead, she hides the truth. She puts on the face the world expects to see. She throws herself into her work, her friends, her routines. She pretends that her life is full, complete, untouched by the absence of you. But deep down, she knows it isn't. There are moments, usually late at night or early in the quiet hours of morning, when her thoughts drift toward you without permission. She wonders if you think of her. She replays certain moments, your laugh, your voice, the way your hand once found hers without needing to ask. These memories are not just nostalgia. They are reminders of something that was real, something that mattered deeply. And no matter how much time passes, she can't quite let them go. Not because she's weak, but because she's honest with herself when no one else is watching. The soul cannot lie in silence, and in that silence she knows the truth. She still wants you. She never stopped wanting you, but her pride and her fear keep her still. The same pride that tells her she's better off without you is the one that keeps her from sending that one message. The same fear that tells her you've moved on is the one that silences every word she wants to say. She waits, not actively, not desperately, but quietly, inwardly. She hopes for some sign, some whisper from the universe that you remember too, that you still care, that maybe, just maybe, you're thinking of her right now. But she won't be the first to say it. She won't be the one to break. She's come too far, built herself back up too carefully, and yet she longs for it for you. The truth she won't say out loud is that no one else quite compares. No one else has made her feel what you did. No one else has reached the places in her heart that you touched. Others may come close, but the standard was set by you, and that is the unspoken burden she carries every time someone new tries to hold her hand. She smiles, she tries, but she knows. It's not the same. So if you ever wonder whether she still thinks about you, she does. If you wonder whether her heart still aches when she sees something that reminds her of you, it does. And if you wonder whether there's a part of her that still wants you back, even though she'll never admit it, yes, but she won't say it first, because the silence protects her from rejection, from pain, from the risk of being open again. And until she knows it's safe, until you speak what she can't, her truth will remain locked inside her, but it's there and it's waiting.